We Wear the Mask by Paul Laurence Dunbar. There's a poem about the faces we share, the faces we show, which you display to people to be able to function.
Long before the pandemic, Tisha Held was wearing a mask.
We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes while we wear the mask.
An invisible one.
You smile to hide the fear and the anger and the pain.
Every hour of every day she spent at the large financial institution where she works as an auditor.
You have to have these two separate lives.
Her life at home, where she was her whole self, and her life at work, where as the only Black person in her department, the mask rendered her a shadow of herself.
There's already an idea of who you are. You have to always be conscious of how you present to other people.
Hands up!
Am I being too loud? Am I fitting into very specific stereotypes? If I come in and say, you know, I'm having a hard day. I don't even know if I want to be here right now because another Black person just got murdered. I don't think people really have the capacity to take on someone else's energy.
Would you call it isolating?
Most definitely.
It's an isolation that is painfully familiar to people of color in the workplace, from encountering racist jabs known as microaggressions to being overlooked for promotions. But some of that changed when the pandemic hit. A survey by the Slack think tank Future Forum found that Black employees experienced less stress and their sense of belonging skyrocketed 50% once they started working from home.
Slack survey finds 97% of Black knowledge workers want the future of the office to be remote or hybrid. Not surprising. I think people having gone through this past year and experiencing the constant cuts from microaggressions and the fatigue of living through the pandemic are just tired. And to go back to what they knew after having experienced some level of relief, they'll want to go back to that.
For Tisha, working from home wasn't just an escape. It was a chance to be herself.
It was great to be in this sea of people.
To march with her family after George Floyd was killed.
Wanting to see change.
To unmask herself at work.
I volunteered and said, at where I work, I would like to do this. I wrote an article. The title of the article is Why is Self-Reflection Not Enough? Self-reflection is not enough if you want to be an ally.
What was it like bringing that part of yourself to your professional environment when that's normally not something that you do?
I think it was that gate that needed to be opened. I do a lot of things outside of work, but then doing it at work really did help me bring more of myself forward because I don't want to wear a mask. I do want to be my full authentic self. I want to be able to show up in any space with any person and be Tisha 100% all the way through.
That Slack study concluded in order to give Black employees a greater sense of belonging, employers should embrace flexible work as part of their central principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
There's diversity in our jobs, but there's a lack of inclusion. And stop just looking at the surface, but doing more self-interrogation because that's going to be uncomfortable. And then they got to figure out what those gaps are to push past it.
That was Kristen Ayers reporting. If you have a story idea that you'd like to send to Facing Race, please email us at race@king5.com.